is this what I get?
Is this our karma?
Right. Is this the consequence of, being careless at 20 years old? Those are all the thoughts that's now going on, and like, this is what I get.
Yeah.
And then there was jealousy, there was envy, there was moments of rage.
For that period of time, though, I definitely thought, will we be able to have children? And it was hard to tell if we were, but are we back, or did we ever leave?
No, I mean, we just took a little baby break.
Man,
we took a break. It's felt like an eternity. So we're not going to say we're back. We're saying welcome to season 4.
Yes, welcome to season 4.
And there's so much to discuss, so much to talk about from the get-go.
So we have news. I think
we do have news.
Most people should know by now, right?
I mean, if you follow us personally on social media, you already know. But if you follow us just on the pod page, or us through the podcast, we, after all of season 3's conversation about love banking and pleasing your partner and a lot of sex conversations, here we go with the remnants and what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
The result of all our good loving and all that stuff we were learning and implementing and all that, we implemented a whole lot and got a whole person.
Yeah, we got a baby boy on the way.
We got another baby boy on the way. So
I guess my question to you is, how did you feel right now?
Slightly nauseous.
Well, I know you explained nausea to me, but
it's like after you've been drinking, right? And if I throw up, I might feel better. But I'm not it's nausea for me. I haven't never had like morning sickness unless I eat something that like the baby hates. Even with my first pregnancy, it was just like that. When I would have elderberry, I would throw up every single time. But any normal eating and all that stuff like that, never had that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not a vomiter when it comes to my pregnancy and stuff like that. So it's just this constant feeling of yuck and I need to throw up. Like, It's disgusting. It's like it's always a little lump in your throat.
That's gross.
Exactly. So imagine being me and what it feels like. So yes, we are expecting our second son. Also, we're coming to you live from our living room.
From the crib.
As we are now expecting.
Yeah.
It also means that we are moving.
We are moving on up.
Yes, so we are. Season 4 is more than likely going to be from right here in our living room and not from the So Let's Talk About It podcast studios that you all know and love, because we are in the process of moving, and we are also in the process of we're going to be building out a new studio in our house.
Yeah. So it's going to be dope. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So a lot of changes that are going to be seen over the next couple months and everything like that as we go ahead and get prepared for another child and switching locations for the podcast and etc. But we were tired of waiting to produce content because obviously the holdup has been the first trimester for sure.
I know. Where do you want to start with this conversation? Because yes, this is our second child, but I feel like we've never tackled the beginning of our story when it comes to children.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start from the beginning. What, wanting to have children?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, so if we're starting from the genesis of us being married and wanting to start a family. Did we want to start a family or did I want to?
Well, when did you want to start having children? Like when was that on your mind?
I don't feel like it was really on my mind until COVID, because it's like, well, let's not say it never was on my mind. It was always on my mind, but it was also a suppressed, desire that due to and we talked about this in season 1. I'm sure we talked about it in season 2 and 3. But due to us terminating our first pregnancy back when we were in college, if we're going all the way back to the beginning of the story,
we never discussed this.
No, we have never discussed this on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you know, after just speaking for myself, I can't speak for all women, but when you make a decision to terminate a pregnancy, there's a lot of trauma and healing mentally that goes into, you know, the decision and everything that you deal with afterward. And I think forever. Well, one of the things I must say before I get to what I was about to say, but you know, once we made a decision in college, we were 21. I think we just turned 21.
Yeah, we were 21. Yeah.
And I remember you saying like probably about a year or so after that, while we were still in school, you know, I want to marry you, but I know that you want a baby because of the decision that we made, and I refuse to allow you to not accomplish the things that you've told me that you wanted to do because you want a baby right now in like a replacement format. And you know, so I feel like over the years prior to deciding to have a child, I had suppressed that feeling because I'm like, well, one, I want to marry this dude and I don't want him to not want to marry me because he thinks I want a child immediately. So let me go ahead and dead his thoughts of that by saying that's not something that I want. And I think for so long, because dealing with the trauma of it, dealing with the emotions of it, and well, really not dealing with them because I didn't deal with them, it was very difficult to have conversations around it. So when people start talking about, oh yeah, y'all gonna have a baby, you know, once now you're married, and they're like, everybody's talking about a baby. And I still had so much guilt behind that it was hard for me to grasp the concept of being able to be a mother. I felt like I didn't deserve that.
What was your grieving process? Was it to, all right, I terminated this first baby and I need to immediately have another one? Was that
for a long time? It was that, like, I need to make right, you know, for what I did, which you never can, because it's like our son is not a replacement, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's something that subconsciously you feel like I was feeling like maybe that's what I was trying to do is make up for so long.
Yeah.
And taking away that make up for is like, okay, well, you're not making up for it. And do you even deserve this after all that? But I mean, I think a lot of women have conversations around, you know, termination, everything like that. But I don't think that men get their say in it. Or, you know, nobody's asking, hey, bro, have you ever done that before? Hey, bro, what did that feel like? Hey, bro, how did you deal with that? You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like men get the opportunity to converse around it because, one, the topic is taboo. And two, nobody cares about the man.
Yeah, they don't really typically ask, like, how did you feel or did you go through anything? And for, you know, a bit of that, it was more so me trying to be strong for you. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to feel anything because you were feeling so much grief. You were, you know, when we went through that, you can feel a numbness. You can feel the emotion of your partner. You know what I'm saying? And you were grieving in such a way that I'm like, there's no really time for me to even think or process my own feelings about this topic right now or what we went through together, because it's traumatic too for men. To see that, especially if this is a woman you care about. Now we can get into all that stuff, you know, I've been through in my life, but that's probably for another.
Yeah, that is probably for another pod.
That's probably another pod, but then again, who knows? But that was going through that with a person I actually cared for and could see having children with. It was hard in a sense. You know, when I look back on it, I'm like, man, I can't believe, like, if I knew what I knew now, I would have kept that baby. But then again,
life would have been significantly
different.
And I personally always felt like I didn't know if we could withstand that version of our relationship. Like, in hindsight, of course, you know, I always wonder, like, what would life have been like, you know? But in hindsight, it's like, would we be us today with that as our beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because being 21, no jobs, I know my life would have been different. My parents, once I had that conversation with them when I opened up about it on the podcast at the end of season 1, and when I shared that with them for the first time, and I told my dad, like, I know that you guys wouldn't have let me go back to school with some wild dude that done got you knocked up in college. Like, no,
Not
thank
wow,
you.
Jesus.
I mean, think about it. You and my dad weren't even cool at that time. Like, I think about all of the things, like what that time was for us, and how much more difficult I think, you know, not only not being prepared or not having resources and stuff like that. We didn't live on our, like, there were so many other things that I look at hindsight that's like, would we even be married today?
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
I think, yeah, you're right. I don't regret the decision. I just think that, man, we never really, did we even talk about it after that? Like, did
I
we
don't think
really,
we
never really processed it. We just went through life. You know,
we did go to therapy for that period of time because I was seeing the school counselor
that's
prior
right.
to that, and I did bring you in on some of those sessions or whatever. But
you think I would go?
Huh?
Did you think I would go to those sessions?
I mean, no, but knowing who you are today, like your character and who you are as a person, like I'm not surprised that you said yes, and you know, didn't hesitate on a yes, and like, oh, whatever you need, you know, because you're always in pursuit of growth. So if you're saying you really care for me, like you do and like you did, then I'm not surprised that you were, you know, willing and not hesitant on going there.
Right. And I never had a therapist. I'm like, shoot,
we need to run it back.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Because 30 got a whole nother set of things that therapy that need to be discussed in therapy separately, coupled, all of that.
All of it.
But yeah, so back to your thought process in that.
Yeah, I just think I didn't have time to think about how I felt in the situation, and thinking like, yeah, it happened to her. It's so physical for the woman that it's really no time to think about, okay, men are having the mental battle. We're not having a physical battle. We're having the mental battle of, all right, so let's think about this. If I didn't want to be with you, if I didn't love you, and this was our situation, I'm thinking like, did she really go through with it? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Is this, am I being played? It's so many things.
I definitely know people that have done that.
I know people that have done that too, and I've seen it. I've seen it in my own eyes. So, you know, not in my own situation, but yeah, I've seen it happen, especially in Baltimore.
Yeah, facts.
But also like, okay, if I love her, what damage have I done to her emotionally? Mm-hmm. What damage have I done to her? Now, am I going to take the backlash of that? Is she going to lash out on me? Am I going to have the aftermath of, or the wrath of how she feels? Mm-hmm. Is she going to blame me for it? Is she going to blame me for getting the abortion? Is she going to blame me? You know what I'm saying?
I think all of those things were valid, and they were all things that did come up. But I feel like because nobody knew, you were the only person that I really was able to lean on in that sense. So I can't lose my strength. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If nobody knows, and I'm walking around with this heaviness, and you're the only person that knows about it, it's hard to say I can release that person or I can hate this person. No, I needed you more then, mm-hmm. you know, to be able to overcome the feelings of that. And like you said, it's kind of like, I don't think this might really be the first time we've actually discussed it in detail. Mm-hmm. Well, probably like once we're about to get married, I think.
Right before we was about to get married?
Yes, because remember during our premarital counseling.
Yeah, it comes up. Yeah, it comes up in premarital.
This is why we are premarital counseling advocates, is because there's so many things that come up in those conversations. The program that we did in particular was called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. Yep. And there's this whole like ordeal, this quiz that you have to you both take individually, and in your sessions you go page by page by page by page by page, subject by subject. Of some of it is finances, some of it is you know, family history, your background, stuff that you probably more than likely, we need to find that'll be a good episode.
Yeah, definitely.
But stuff that you normally would just not converse about. And obviously, of course, sex was a thing in itself. And I think at that time, one of the things that you had put on your end was I feel like she doesn't want me because I'm always the initiator. And then there's like, sometimes there's hesitancy and blah, 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 blah. And it was in that moment that I shared with you that like, yo, I'm afraid of putting myself in that position again to get pregnant before we're married.
So it was a psychological battle for you.
It was psychological. So it's not
Wow.
not that I don't want to be with you, not that I don't desire to be intimate with you. I mean, the sex is bomb. So I'm good with that. However, lingering on the back end, especially when you're not talking about it. Once therapy was over, like you're talking about, we're 3, 4, 5 years away from that.
Yeah.
From doing the therapy and all the stuff that has happened, but it's lingering because nobody knows. I think that nobody knows piece, it hurts you more.
Yeah.
And not to say that I wish I would have told the world then and all that stuff like that. Like, no, I'm still to this day surprised that I'm talking about it now in public. But I do understand that these conversations are healing because there's so many more people that 1,000% are Me Tooers.
Oh, yes.
Me Tooers, men and women.
Couples,
and people don't know how to have those conversations, who they can talk to, who they can trust about it. And I promise you, every single time, I have shared it with somebody and it'd be like kind of out of the blue, like, why am I even telling you this? It's always me too.
Literally,
wow.
every time.
Wow. I can't believe you dealt with that. Me too. And so for me, it was lingering in my subconscious every time I laid down with you after that I could not do that to myself again. So if it happens again, it's a dub. And I need you to know that I'm never putting myself through that again. So we're going through with it.
You actually didn't communicate that to me, so I didn't even know this.
And this is, again, back to the whole premarital counseling thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, these are conversations. This is something I probably would still have never told you if it didn't come up in that manner. Because I was still processing, like, why? Because I love this man. I want to be with this man. But there's something that does hold me back every time.
Yo, that's crazy. So all those times leading up to that, I'm thinking like, is it me? And we're not having a conversation. I'm not telling you how I'm feeling. Like,
right?
Why do I feel like you're so hesitant, or I'm always coming to you, and then I'm not knowing that you having your own battle mentally.
A whole mental battle.
I hope I don't get pregnant. I hope I don't get pregnant. Because if I do, I'm not going through what I went through the first time.
No.
And I don't know that, we're just going through with this. You know what I'm saying? If anything happens, I don't know any of that. And there was a time where you were on birth control, right?
I was on birth control after the termination.
Yeah.
Up until the December after we got married.
But when did you start getting off of birth control? What happened then?
Oh, my insurance ran out.
I'm crying.
Nothing in particular. Like, I didn't plan on not being on birth control. I never planned on not being on the pill. Ever.
No, but you told me you was like going crazy.
This was after I got off of it and got back on it. Does that make sense? And so,
was it a different one?
So here's the thing. So after that situation happened, I got on the pill, right? I got that Planned Parenthood in college. Nobody knows. Parents don't know, whatever. In 2015, after I graduated, I ended up going to the doctor because I was telling him that I was having pain having sex. So glad that I said this, although it was the wildest conversation. Why? Because my GYN at the time was literally the guy who birthed me. Like,
very weird. Okay.
The guy who took me out of my mother. Yes.
Okay.
So that was my GYN at the time. And I was telling him this, and he was like, we're going to need to check you for endometriosis because my mother dealt with fibroids, my aunts, my cousins, like uterine health, which is something that isn't really talked about in the Black community at all, which it really should be, because a lot of people don't know that a lot of situations that happen with your uterus as a woman, typically if you have stuff like fibroids, endometriosis, all the kind of stuff like that, your mother or your sister has had it.
Okay.
Which is what I learned in the process. So I'm like, well, I know my mom had that back when I was in middle school, blah, blah, blah. She dealt with, fibroids and stuff like that. And so this is where it's deriving from. So I tell the doctor that. He's like, well, we need to do like this procedure to check on. You remember when I had that surgery? I didn't get to come to your Cabrini game because I was recovering from surgery.
I remember now. Yeah.
And so this was the semester after I graduated, but you were still in school. And so Um, I have this procedure to check for endometriosis, which they did find. They also found some uterine fibroids.
Can you explain what endometriosis is to
I
people that
truly
don't know?
would have to Google it because I can't even.
Or what does it cause then? Do you know that?
For some people, it's different because I have some friends and that suffer with endometriosis as well, but theirs is significantly different from mine. Like you have excruciate. It's something with the lining. I can't remember in particular, but there's something with the lining when you have a cycle where it leaves scar tissue that creates the pain.
Okay.
So there's scar tissue. So, like you having a cycle, that's what you're supposed to have. It's supposed to be like more of a cleansing thing. But what's happening is it's leaving some sort of it's creating scar tissue on your uterus or whatever, which causes for some people severe pain. And for me, it was pain during sex. For other people, it's pain during their period. Some other people, it's pain all the time. It's a lot of stuff, but it can contribute to your fertility. So I always felt like that was also something that I would probably deal with was fertility issues. And then
so you're saying it can prevent fertility?
It can have an effect on your fertility, on your ability to have children.
Okay.
And it's not 100%. Like it's not, if you have this, you absolutely can't. That's not true, obviously. But they also found some fibroids that had started to begin in my uterus and all the stuff like that. So because I had went to the doctor with that conversation of, listen, I really enjoy having sex with my dude, and it's not pleasurable right now. I need you to fix this. And because I had that conversation with him, a lot of other things that I'm sure now that I'm 30 would have probably been issues in my body I didn't have to deal with because the fibroids were literally starting. So they were able to remove them before
early. Gotcha.
They had formed anything. And they were able to, alter whatever was going on with the endometriosis, one of my fallopian tubes. It was a lot going on in here that you wouldn't know because they're not things that you can't detect this stuff unless they go inside of you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like nobody would know that I had a blocked fallopian tube if they didn't go inside of my body. So definitely grateful for being open about that and not afraid to have those conversations, ladies. If you feel something, say something. Talk to your doctors, your physicians, and your GYNs.
And talk to your husband too, because
and your significant others.
No idea that you was feeling pain.
Well, you try to make it through.
I'm crying.
Sometimes you got to make it through. My baby was in college without me. I'm trying to make sure I keep my man.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
These are just real thoughts that were going on at the time. I mean, you got to think about it. I'm only 22. I'm not old.
Yeah, we were really young. We were really crazy. Young. 22.
And so this is all the stuff that's like just going on. So after, long story short, I said that to get back to birth control.
Okay.
After I had the surgery, they put me on a birth control that would only allow me to have a cycle every 90 days because I told you the issue with endometriosis is like every time you have a period, it's contributing to it. So this is really where I got not hooked to birth control, but I'm really on it because I want to maintain my health in that sense.
I got you.
So I'm now on birth control for 5 years.
Yeah, so that's right.
I'm on birth control up until my insurance ran out with my mom after we got married. So, that's pretty much what happened, how I got off of it. What happens is because I was on a specific type for years, when I got on something different, the effects on my psychological, my body, I was having headaches, I was having weird thoughts, depressive thoughts, suicidal thoughts, and all that kind of stuff like that. And the only thing that was different about my lifestyle, my regimen, was the pills that I was on.
And you were honest with me when you told me that. You was like, man, like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm having thoughts, I'm having suicidal thoughts, I'm having all these thoughts, and the only thing that's different is me taking these pills, this birth control pills. And I was like immediately like, well, scratch them pills, drop them. You know what I'm saying?
The other thing, and I can't say, I have to harp on the fact that there's so many hacks that we try to find now as women. And I appreciate that the medical system has evolved where you don't have to go to doctors and do this and all this stuff like that. So because I wasn't prescribed and I couldn't go to a doctor that I've been going to and get them prescribed anymore because I didn't have insurance, there were websites at the time that were developing, and they've come a long way since 2018, but there were websites that were developing. One of my homegirls was like, yo, I ain't got insurance, ain't had insurance for years, this how you go get you a pill. And she put me onto this website, and they would prescribe you the birth control. You just don't know what you're getting. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what I was getting when I got on it the first time at Planned Parenthood. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I only knew when I went to my doctor, my physician, and you prescribed me something based off of my body and the things that it would need at the time. And so long story short, moving into that, I think the other issue was like I didn't know what I was getting because I wasn't prescribed by a doctor. I was prescribed by the internet that's going to give you free birth control without having a prescription or having to go to a doctor.
Free, you get a free result.
Okay. It was very free, very depressive, and very suicidal.
Wow. No, and I think that's important to highlight because you were open enough to tell me that, and then I immediately said, well, forget the pills, then don't take them. You know what I'm saying? And there could be women out there right now that could be experiencing that.
Yeah.
And they don't know why, or they do know why, but they're not sharing it with their partner. They're not,
Yeah.
just to see like what his reaction is going to be.
And it's hard to communicate with men, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't, if you're in a place when you're not trying to have a baby, and you don't want to use protection, that was our downfall.
Why would you say downfall?
Is that protection just was never for some strange reason, because I had never been like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't my field. But for some strange reason, like we just never did.
Oh Lord.
You know what I'm saying? And until it was too late. And so for people who, you loathe
Oh God.
you loathe the latex, if I know that you don't want to use condoms and I no longer want to be on the pill, but we know we're not ready to have children, is it really an easy conversation to come to your man and say? I mean, I don't think it's easy. I just think it's necessary. How he responds is none of my business.
Correct.
I do need to be honest though.
You do need to be honest and let him know what you're experiencing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think when we first had Caden though, we love him so much.
That's where we were getting at.
Yeah, this is exactly where we get.
So
how did that happen again?
So this was the thing. So now I guess going through, I'm not on the pill. We're humping like rabbits. We're newlyweds. Okay. We're doing all this stuff. There's no restrictions at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like I did the married thing.
You don't feel bad.
I don't have to feel bad. I don't have to be concerned. I don't have to be worried. Except for like the whole "Are we ready for kids?" thing. That's the only thing now. But at this point, I guess from 2018 going into COVID was now where I still had never told anybody about that, and I was still living with oh no, I'm cool. People used to always be like, oh, you're about to have a baby, or my friends that had kids, like, you next. And I used to be like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm good. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? And so I think because of how COVID was so isolated and you really had a lot of time to yourself, a lot of time with your own thoughts, it was in that period that those walls started to break down and I started to identify, like, I have always longed for a child. But I have suppressed it for so long that it feels awkward to even want that.
But what made you suppress it though? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I told you the guilt, the shame, the regret, all that kind of stuff like that. It's like I have to suppress this feeling for that desire because if the timing's not right, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, it was all self-inflicted, all subconscious, and so. Now that I'm uncovering that, and I feel like 2020, everybody became so introspective, and this is why there's so many podcasts out right now that are going to help you with your mental health and your thoughts, and and there's some really, really great ones out there. It's podcasts out there about how to have an orgasm.
Really?
Yes. And I learned a lot on that, John.
It's a niche. It's a niche
for that. Like, there's some stuff like
makes sense.
I'm like, yo, she got some gems on here that really have increased. All right, ma'am. I need to find that, John, so I can plug it in here. But, one's about mental health, spirituality, sermons, whatever it is that you're looking for, there's podcasts for that because I feel like a lot of people became very introspective in that time to now be able to share their thoughts. So I'm in the place where I'm breaking down these walls. I'm dealing with, past childhood trauma, all that kind of stuff like that. And that's just coming up because you have so much time with yourself. And when I started to say, oh, it's okay for me to want a baby.
Yeah.
I had to get to that point. Like, it's okay for you to want a child. And at this point, now I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Was you scared that I wouldn't have wanted a child or something?
I didn't think you didn't want a child. I was more so afraid of my body rejecting something at that point. Because at this point we're not trying, but we're not trying.
Yeah,
that's always been our thing.
Yeah, it's like we wasn't trying, but we
This
didn't
time
do
either.
anything to prevent
ever
getting pregnant.
But we had been having sex unprotected with no birth control for 2 years. So now I'm more so getting concerned about like.
So that was my thing. I was going to get to that because I was more so thinking like, is this the result of endometriosis? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we have kids? Or you questioned me at one point.
Yeah, both
and
of us.
I got tested. You got tested too for.
You never got tested. You didn't want to get tested.
Yeah, I was like, my swimmers swim.
They do.
They swim and they fast.
Yeah.
Like,
they get there.
But I try to tell you, I'm like, I'm fine, but I think I'm good, but I don't know why we're not getting pregnant. I'm thinking like, maybe just God saying it's not your time yet.
And I think one, that was true, but also I think my body, just thinking about how fast I got pregnant this time, without the same level of, I guess, difficulty that we talked about before. Because it was difficult at the beginning when we actually were trying, once I was, comfortable and wanting to have a child and all that stuff like that. And now we're actively trying every single month. Like I'm on the when you're trying, because you get to tracking your ovulation, you're tracking the whole thing. Like, all right, now is the time. If I boom boom, I got the ovulation test kit in the back. I'm going full throttle. And so now when it's not happening, I'm really like, yo, what's wrong with my body?
I was telling you, like, this is too much pressure. Like, we're not going to do it this way.
Yeah, I can understand why you would think it was a lot of pressure. But at that point, I was like physically concerned, because you have the thoughts of like, is this a punishment?
I did. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Is this what I get?
Is this our karma?
Right. Is this the consequence of, being careless at 20 years old? Those are all the thoughts that's now going on. And like, this is what I get.
Yeah.
And then there was jealousy, there was envy, there was moments of rage. Like I would legit get sad every month when my cycle would come.
I see this. First of all, this is news to me. I didn't know this.
I thought I told you that.
No, I don't. You getting sad when you had your period. No, I didn't know this.
Because what the hell is it doing here?
I'm thinking because you would be like, dap me up, like, all right, we made it through another month, but I didn't know you was gonna go cry in the corner after that.
I don't think, no, not at that period of time. Like when we were actually trying, I was no longer on the safely through another week.
Okay. No, it's just for that period of time though. I definitely thought, will we be able to have children? And it was hard to tell if we were, but I think it just came in the right timing when we stopped
trying.
When we stopped trying, we got pregnant with Kaden, and I can't imagine life without Kaden now.
No, my gosh. Mexico. Malk took me to Mexico for my birthday, and that is where Kaden was conceived. So be careful if you guys are traveling in this summer season with your significant other, because those Mexican waters will bless you.
Yeah, something in it. They fertile out there anyway.
They're fertile myrtles out there. Yeah, no, I mean, but the thing was, because I was still back in my tracking day, I knew I was ovulating when we went to Mexico. But
you knew that?
Yes, absolutely.
She set me up.
I didn't say, how could I see? But
she knew. I didn't know this.
Think about it though. I've been doing this at the same time every month during the ovulation season, the ovulation period of my cycle every month, and nothing was changing. So why would I think this was going to be different?
Yeah, but I still didn't know.
Yeah, so
it wouldn't have mattered either way.
At the end of the day, like, again, my thought process is like, we've been doing this.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's different with this? Why? And you said stop pressuring you.
Yeah.
So why am I going to tell you, ooh, I'm ovulating while we in Mexico? Guess what?
No. Be by the water.
We're going to be in the water. No. So we go to Mexico, and y'all, so this what happened when Malcolm be lit.
What you mean?
That's how Kaden got here.
Okay.
He was lit that whole trip, and my husband doesn't drink.
I know. That was probably the last time I had been drunk, right?
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't since then.
Obviously.
Were you ready?
I don't think you're ever ready You just get ready.
Yeah,
It's not like it's going away.
I don't think you're ever ready to have children. Just like I don't think somebody's ready for marriage. I think you make the decision and then
Everything is learning
everything
because
is learning through it.
you don't know what it's like to be a parent. You don't know what this person's going to be like. You don't know how your body or you. I think the biggest lesson, we just talked about this the other day, like we didn't know the toll it would take on our marriage.
Yeah.
Becoming parents, because you're excited about that part. And I don't think people talk about that, John, enough, of like what is the repercussions of parenthood for your marriage, and what are the things that you need to do to make sure you're, one, prepared for it, you're in the know of it, and how can you combat it to make sure that it doesn't defeat your marriage. You know, sleeplessness causes you to just act a damn fool.
But on both sides, you're right.
You know, trying to navigate new normals.
It was like I was telling one of my friends this. I'm like, having a child brings out the child in you, so to speak. It brings out all your childhood trauma, and you start learning so much more about yourself around that time, because now you have this human that you're responsible for, but you ain't fixed all of you yet.
Man,
you still got issues, you know what I'm saying,
to this day,
that you haven't sifted through, and they typically come out in the parent, either in your parenting style or just decisions that you make for your child, or decisions that you start making amongst your spouse, because of the child. And for me, what I learned when we first had Caden, I learned that I was extremely, extremely impatient.
Oh my gosh, Michael's patience level.
Oh my God, I was so impatient. I'm like, and that's still a work in progress, but I was like, why am I getting upset for getting my son something to eat? He's hungry. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm sleep deprived. I know I'm tired, but this is to keep him alive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just calm down, take a chill pill. Don't jump right up. Allow yourself to get up.
And even in that, like, I think there are ways to navigate. Like, I think what we've done is navigate that version of our lives, because it's like, why am I having my husband get up to make a box? This was my thought, and I don't think this does not work for all people. And just a disclaimer, everything we talk about, we are not trying to be experts or anything. Like, we're just sharing with you guys what we've done, what's worked for us, and what we're working through. But for me, it was like, after a while, I'm like, why am I waking this man up, discombobulating him, frustrating him, when I literally breastfeed? You know what I'm saying? Like, I do.
Facts.
And I feel like for me, because I was able to breastfeed and stuff like that, it's kind of like, I don't have to wake him up in the middle of the night. It's like, sometimes when you're new, one of the things that I realized that I was doing is like, I'm tired, so I want you to be tired. So get up too, or you go get the box. It's like, but I've now made us both extra tired, and if I want to sleep in, who's going to take the baby?
Yeah.
And when you have family that is able to help, like, luckily for us, my parents, they came to stay with us for 3 weeks. My mom stayed for 6. So we always did have an additional hand, but it's like, that's not real life. And we were very adamant about making sure that we were living what our real life was going to be, and not just letting him be, when my parents all the time are like, hey, can you take him so I can get some rest? Like, nah, I'm definitely over that. And I'm going to definitely have this new baby. Hey, have him. And the other one too, take them all. I'm going to bed. But it's kind of like, if when our parents aren't here and we don't have any help, what does that look like? If I want rest in the morning because I've been up at night, how do I get that if I wake you up too?
Yeah, and I think it is that struggle. I don't want to call it a power struggle, but it's more so like that envy that you may have for your spouse in that time. That's something that is immediate, that happens inside your relationship,
because the mother feels like the dad just gets to still do life.
Correct.
And I'm having to use my body. I'm contracting. My uterus is getting back to normal size. I got to wake up. I got to breastfeed. I got to pump. I think one of the things that did help us was you changing diapers. Like, I stopped having to change them.
Yeah.
I do, but I stopped having to.
Yeah, that wasn't something that, you had to do.
because I'm doing everything else. It was like, he was like, well, the least I can do is that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that definitely changed the dynamic, but also giving you the opportunity to sleep, because if I take him at night, well, then you're like, I'll have him in the morning. I'm not, you're naturally a morning person. I'm naturally not.
Correct.
I'm naturally a night owl. Like last night we put Kate in the bed at what, like 8:30?
Yeah.
Put him to bed at like 8:30, and literally I'm like, Malcolm's going to watch the Lakers are playing. He's going to watch the game. He's going to be up to about 11 o'clock. I should be asleep by then, in my full good rest by the time he even gets in the bed. You get in the bed and we up for an extra hour and a half watching TV. You watch TV with me now. And I'm like, why am I not asleep? I literally have to be up at 6:45 to get ready for church. And so even to this day, like I think that's now, I don't think we've talked about it, but I'm conscious of the fact that something that you enjoy is watching your team in the playoffs, watching your favorite player in the playoffs. And so it's like, when I know that you're up watching Western Conference Finals or semifinals, till 1 a.m., I'm not going to ask you to go get our son when he wakes up at 6:45, 7 o'clock. When I know you didn't get in the bed till 1:30. Like, I usually take those mornings. But I don't feel like now I have to say it.
Yeah.
Hello.
I think you develop a rhythm like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I know he's watching the game. I'm going to get him in the morning.
And it's just you just learn the consideration and each other's tendencies and what each other is best at. Like when you were trying to wean him off of breast milk.
Oh my God. We finally got free of that, y'all.
We have gotten free of him being of breast milk.
Yes, I breastfed until he was, what is he about to be, 23 months? 21 months. I think I stopped right before or right when he turned 22 months.
Correct.
I don't know about you, buddy.
And it felt like forever. It took a long time, but the way we had to do it is disrupt his pattern at night. So I would have to get up at night. If he woke up in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, he'll wake up, for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we had to put him back to sleep. And I started waking up early to do that, waking up and putting him back to sleep at 3 a.m. in the morning, so he didn't have to feed on the breast to go back to sleep.
Right.
And, however long that lasted, didn't matter.
I really think it was only like 10 days before he was like, oh, you really did ass.
What?
That's what I feel like. After like 10 days, he was really like, okay.
Right.
She's not bringing it back.
Because he started eventually like, okay. Like every time he saw me, he would really scream and cry.
He was pissed. Like, why did you send him?
Yeah, but we went through that for at least over 2 months. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? It was at least a month or something.
He's been sleeping better since he's been off.
Yeah, he's been sleeping better since he's been off. But before then, I think in the beginning of the year, till about February.
Yeah, I stopped right after March, I stopped shortly after I found out I was pregnant. Like, I can't. One, I need a break. Two, I need a break. Like, I'm about to have to do this again.
Yeah.
And I cannot have you. First of all, it ain't nothing even in here. When I went to LA for the Grammys, I was gone for 7 days, and I just knew the milk was going to be dried up, and he brought it back. It was like, I thought he was going to forget about it. You've lived for 7 whole days.
And it's the thing, like when he's with me and she's gone, like out of town, he either won't wake up in the middle of the night, or if he does, he ain't looking for milk. You know what I'm saying? He just, okay, somebody there. All right, I'm going back to sleep. But he be playing her. You know what I'm saying? For the most part.
He does.
So I had to be the one to kind of disrupt that pattern. But you learn to do that. You just learn to be considerate of what's needed in the moment. And in the beginning, when that disruption happens, you don't know that. All you know is like, this mofo get to sleep and I don't. And you got this power struggle, whatever it is. And it's not, the resentment is going, it's one, the energy is going in the wrong direction. And I was telling my friend, I'm like, look, once y'all are, have to do this as a team, y'all are going to, one, love each other more and find peace within y'all relationship, because y'all not going to be at odds anymore. Y'all going to need each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a rhythm that you develop, because y'all have only each other to start raising this child. You ain't going to have the help of your parents.
I promise you, like, I love the help of parents. If you have the option to have it, take it. I tell everybody that because somebody told me that. And How do you feel about like having the help? I always wondered like how do men feel, especially efficient in-laws.
Um,
I also realized that's gonna be me one day. Like I'm gonna be.
I didn't. I don't know
You
because
was like, I don't know if I'm babe. That might be a long time. They're gonna have to go. They're gonna have to.
no, definitely. I definitely, there's sometimes people overstay their welcome. I'm not saying your parents did, but I'm saying families out there can overstay their welcome, and eventually it gets annoying. But for us, I think it was so many adults in the house though because
your
of
parents
COVID.
came too.
It was it was COVID, so everyone was
Yes.
home. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I had to go somewhere every day. I would work from home. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
all these different things that it's completely different than when we probably grew up.
Right.
Whole different circumstances.
But then your parents end up coming the next week after he was born.
Yeah, they stay in a hotel.
But
it was
they
already
were
a
there
lot of
in the
people.
daytime. So you're talking
Right.
about it's 6 people, 6 adults.
It's
So
6 adults.
6 adults and one baby.
So one child.
We must have been really thinking it was gonna be a struggle.
Right. And you don't know, but I didn't think the help was very necessary. But I also thought, if we didn't have it, we'd be fine too. So I wasn't entitled to the help. I would say that I'm never entitled to any help. I know what I can handle. I know what I can do. You know what I'm saying?
I am.
But
I don't already.
We got meals cooked and everything for us. So
man, I think that was the part.
That was the unsung hero right there.
I think it's like what they contribute to the household. You know what I'm saying? My dad, he was still working while he was in town. And he's at my dad on a normal day. On tomorrow morning, he's going to be at work at 6:00 in the morning. My dad has always been like that. He always going to be the one at work at 6, so he can be home by 3. And so because of that, like because he would know we've been up all night, he would come get Kanan in the morning. Kanan sitting on the meetings with him and all stuff like that. So that helped us be able to get our rest. We get up, instead of. We've been up all night. We're probably sleeping from like 7 to 10 or whatever, just getting some time to rest. My mom, breakfast, at least breakfast and dinner or brunch and dinner. Lunch was kind of a figured out kind of thing, but for the most part, we didn't have to think about eating. Which, when you're breastfeeding, you're a new mom, you're trying to regain strength and all that stuff like that. You have to eat. But it's hard to think about eating or cooking or all that stuff like that. So having that, my dad would make they cleaned the house there was the stuff that we would normally be doing, we didn't have to do.
Yeah,
so which allowed us to kind of adjust, in that sense. But trust and believe, when I found out I was pregnant, I told my parents as soon as I found out this due date, I need everybody, all hands on deck, because what I don't know is. What is that transition like when you have a toddler? Like, even if you're talking pregnancy with a toddler, this has been the most trying time of my life.
Why?
Well, one, I can barely breathe at this second. Hold on. Literally, I feel like I sound like I'm 170,000 pounds as I'm trying to talk, because I'm like, I can barely catch my breath.
This is why we're doing this for the comfort of our own home.
We have to. And this is what's taking us so long to come back. If you look at those last 3 episodes, those last 3 episodes of season 3, literally I look so high.
So Britt was like, yo, I don't want to put out these videos because I look like I'm gaining weight.
I look like I'm gaining.
We had no idea she was pregnant though.
Let's talk about how we
didn't
found
know
that
this.
out. So first of all, shout out to our first son. He is absolutely incredible. Love him. And I think he is the reason why I wanted another child eventually.
Okay.
He was also getting to the age where we were able to be like, okay,
about to be full. You know what I'm saying? He's about to be in that stage where he going to school. All right, bro.
I don't know if we
might
can
be
start
on your own now.
We might not be able to start this from the get go. But I think just being intrigued with the development of a person and seeing them grow every day. Like tonight, he does this little thing where he spins around in circles, right? Like just the joy, he just loves it. And so I'm not mocking him. I'm doing it with him. I am duplicating him. I am doing what he's doing, and he is cracking up.
Man.
And it is the cutest thing, because I'm like, did you not know that I could do this? Did you not know? Did you think you were the only one that could spin around in circles with your arms up in the air?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I'm literally about to cry. This is how pregnant I am. the other day I started bursting into tears because in joy because he just gave me the cutest smile ever. When he was in his little fort that he and I did. Like, so now we started this little fort thing. He loves now being in the fort. He had this little period where he was walking around with a blanket over his head around the house, can't see, running the walls, busting his lips. This is boys.
Yeah.
But it's like stuff like that, and watching just the development and the growth and who you're becoming, whose personality you take off after, like just the everything is like, I could do this again. Like, I want to see what another combination of us looks like. I ain't having no more kids after this though.
Yeah.
But
we chilling on it after this, but yeah.
So Malcolm Garrison, I am convinced that I came back from the Grammys and I was gone too long. And
yeah, that blue light special,
right? Blue light special. Also, I have no longer like been on my ovulation tracking like I was the first time. I had way too many apps on my phone. They all said different stuff.
Bro, it was all wrong.
And so I was talking to my best friend about it, and I was like, bro, like my period said, one of these apps say my jump 9 days late. One say, I was talking to my best friend, and I was telling her like all these apps say a different day, but I'm late on all of them. And she was like, well, my jump ain't never been wrong, so download this one. So I download her app, and it said that I wasn't late, but it did say that my peak ovulation day was the day I came home from the Grammys, and I know it went down that night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know that was a night. You know what I'm saying? And so I tracked it all the way back to there, and it makes complete sense.
Well, now we're pregnant again, our second time.
Yes. We are almost at the midway.
It's kind of like crazy because we spoke this though. We said we wanted to be done by 31.
Yeah.
Of having all the kids we want to have.
College, we've been saying that.
And it's kind of worked out. You know, we said we wanted to be married 26, 25, whatever. Have our first child by 28, which we did.
I don't think we spoke the first child, but
no, we said we wanted to start having children around 28. And then you said you wanted to be done by 30.
I don't remember us talking about starting, but I know I always want to be done by 32.
Yeah, so it kind of works out in that aspect. We still haven't picked a name.
We haven't picked a name, but we do know that it is a boy. I am officially 100% a boy mom. So excited about that. I've always wanted to be a boy mom.
Yeah, because people ask like, "Did y'all want a girl?" We didn't. You know, we would have loved it.
Yeah, either way,
we had a great name for a girl.
Her name was Fire.
We had a great name. We came,
her name was Fire. But
it was gonna be crazy.
But we preferred to be a 2-boy household. That was just always the dream. And so we got that. You know, speak things that you like, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. But I'm excited. It's been that's what I was saying. Is like this pregnancy has been very difficult. Not in the sense of the pregnancy itself. You know, the baby's healthy. I'm healthy. But being a mom still and being pregnant is why I'm good after this. I promise it should be illegal to have to still be a mom. And so I couldn't imagine like having another toddler and an older child and doing it. I couldn't imagine. Like, this is crazy. It's madness because your child is used to you being a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what's going on. They don't understand fatigue. They don't understand nausea, sickness. They don't understand any of that. They're like, Mom, it's time to play. Like, we've been playing. Let's play. What are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that has been probably like the hardest, is trying to maintain, you know, the relationship that we have. I think that's where another layer, being pregnant a second time has created another layer of trauma, childhood trauma, or things that I'm having to deal with because I'm pregnant again.
That sounds like another pod we're going to get into.
It is. Firstborn child syndrome.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me that.
It is. I mean, I've talked about it on many episodes of like, and so it's like wondering, like, how is he going to feel? How do you incorporate? And I would love to hear from my moms that have two that are close. It won't be 2 under 2. Kaden will be like not 2.5, but he turns 2 in June, so it won't be 2 under 2. But for my moms that are parents of 2, how do you, and dads too, like, how do you not feel like the oldest misses out, or like they're losing their parents? Like, how do you maintain the lifestyle that they've been given while adding in
a new baby? Yeah,
a stranger to your family, essentially. to him, it's
To
going
him,
to be
it's
like
gonna be a stranger. Yeah.
Who is this? And why is he taking up all the space in my parents' bed? Why is he getting so much time, so much attention, so much affection? It's like, how do you maintain that balance so that there's no compromise in, the relationship that they, and like I said, I also understand that is my own self-inflicted childhood trauma, because I was way more aware. I was 5 when my parents had my sister. So I'm like super aware.
You saw the change and you understood it.
I understood it. That's my only.
And I'm telling her, like, Kaden won't fully understand what's going on anyway right now.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think that's why it's 2 of us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
the baby's gonna be needed by you mostly. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I just don't think he'll have that much of a struggle with a new child coming into the picture, just because he's already like a little grown baby anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I caught him today in his sitting on his couch, laid back like a lazy boy. I'm like, what nigga? What in the world job do you work? Like, why are you late like this? And he was watching a movie.
Yeah, Kaden is
chilling,
our child for sure, because we're movie heads.
He was chilling,
and he just be big chilling in his little chair. I can't wait to deck out his new room. It's gonna be dope. So, what are you most excited about, baby number 2?
I'm excited to meet our son.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see who he looks like. He looks like me or you, mostly, or if he looks like Kaden.
I think he's.
I wonder if he's gonna look like Kaden. But also, I can't wait to see his development. Like, who, some of the mannerisms that we both have. What is he gonna take after?
Yeah. Because Kaden is already shaping up to be a basketball playing singer.
I'm crying.
And he might be an actor though. Like, he be watching these movies, and then like the next day he's like doing them hand motions and the everything. I'm like, what?
And he definitely be singing.
He definitely be singing. My baby
crazy.
can sing. I mean, we both can sing, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I'm most excited about. Just seeing how we grow as parents, seeing how our family dynamic changes, but obviously for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And just growing up with them. Like, I'm really excited about their proms and their weddings right now. Like,
oh my gosh,
I think it's because it's prom season, so it's
long.
like I'm seeing, like, I'm like, oh my god, like my sons are going to go to prom. They're gonna be taking these little girls to prom. I'm gonna have to go to their house because I'm a boy mom.
How I see this, my chances of becoming an AAU dad have just
heightened
to the roof, y'all, and I'm so happy.
That is the funny part is, like, that's literally all Malcolm cares about.
That's probably one of my main goals in life, is to walk into these tournaments, say, yep, my boy's getting buckets, even if they're not. I don't care. I'm getting hot dogs and chips.
I'm crying. I can't wait.
And I'm talking trash.
This is why, because I love basketball. Like, we both played basketball in our college. I have always wanted to. I think the way I supported you in college,
it was crazy.
I wanted to be able to support my children in that as well.
They're gonna get kicked out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I'm the worst trash talking parent of ever. I mean, person. I'm sure trash talking as a parent, but in a very tasteful way.
We're going, because we're extremely competitive. I'm extremely competitive.
He's the worst. He is truly the worst.
Like, losing is not an option, especially in basketball. So, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
But yeah, we wanted to talk about our pregnancy journey because there's so many elements to it. And what's funny even about this baby, like I said, season 3, I feel like was low-key a little aphrodisiac for us. We put in the work, all the stuff we talked about with y'all.
We did. Yeah, man. We learned so much.
We did learn a lot, which we have been in a state of study and learning and a lot of different stuff that we'll talk about even in this season. But obviously putting a lot of that into action, into motion, brings forth life in many ways. But I said that to say, like, damn, I lost my thought.
Oh.
It was really good. I was really getting at something.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Well,
I was talking about season 4, like what to expect.
Yeah, I was about to say, what do you think they should expect from season 4?
A lot. We'll be definitely talking about. I was talking about why we want to talk about our pregnancy, because it's so. Prior to us getting pregnant, we kept talking about we gotta chill. We're not ready for a second kid.
This has been great.
Yeah, so for those of you watching on the video, it'll blank out at some point. You guys can listen to the end of the story. But yeah, we wanted to talk about the so yeah, we're literally talking about not being ready for having another kid and having wild, hot, passionate sex right after it. It's like, are we ready or not? Why are you laughing?
You talking about, are we ready for a child?
Yes, every time we were talking about that late at night and end up in.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. All right. So we obviously were ready.
Obviously.
We obviously did not care if we had a child or not.
I mean, we didn't.
We didn't.
It was like, it's okay.
Because we actually wanted to get it over with anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's perfect timing. But I remember having a conversation shortly before that, and you were like, do you think it'll be difficult for you to get pregnant this time?
Yeah, I was wondering that. I'm like, because we had been doing the same thing we've been doing,
right?
And you hadn't been pregnant. It was coming up on 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did we get lucky the first time? And we just
lucky is crazy. But my cycle didn't come back to literally like September.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, breastfeeding real live. They did not lie about that.
Yeah, breastfeeding is real. It's really a birth control.
15 months. I didn't have a cycle till September. So I mean, we just freshly in there, got pregnant in February. So
yeah, maybe it was a breastfeeding probably.
Yeah. But the weird part about it is, like, I was probably already pregnant when you asked me that.
True. You were. Now I think about it. Because that was after the Grammys.
Yeah. So this is why we wanted to share our pregnancy story. I don't think it's something that we've actually talked about. And there's still so much more that we could explore in it. But we'll wrap this first episode up. But season 4 has officially begun. And we're excited about it.
Yeah.
There's so much that we're going to discuss, uncover, and share more life lessons about what it is that we are learning and what it is that we're learning through a lot of these processes that we've been going through.
Yeah, so many more stories and lessons.
Yes. So
and guests too.
Oh yeah, so many more guests. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be funny. So, all right, y'all. We'll see you on the next episode.
All right.